Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. But questions, comments about Marcus? He didn't do everything wrong, but he did the 3 or 4 most important things wrong if you're going to go into property. Because interest rates, he borrowed gobs. He was one of the ones that, he was putting mortgage debt and debt on his properties like crazy because it was the lowest interest rates in 5,000 years. But what he did, he cross-collateralized, which is not a smart thing to do. But it's very easy in a nut market. We have people that during the seminar, the QLA seminar, from 2010 to 2020, so the Corona, 10 solid years, actually to 2021, that, you could just literally, you guys didn't do it, but you could just go in the bank and get anything you wanted. But you didn't. You should have been loading up like a motherfucker, fixed rates. But unfortunately, you didn't. Now you're loading up, and you're going to get fucked. And the questions about, yes, sir, in the back.
So the industries that he was mentioning he could sell for 15 times EBITDA would be technology, for sure. Healthcare as well?
As what?
Healthcare as well?
No.
No.
You're going to buy them at 4 or 5, and if you take the first arbitrage, you're going to exit at 10-12. And then the next person will take it at 10-12 and exit at 15-16. Then the next one, if they take it public, will exit at 18-19. Okay? And tomorrow we're going to talk about why the IPO, as I said last night, going public is not the guilt-edged panacea like it used to be. It's not the end-all, be-all. Because number one, if Francisco, they won't let you sell any shares. You're in. And the younger you're in, the longer you're in. If you're in your 20s, they may make your stock stiff, and that's like a rod up your ass, stiff for 5 years, meaning you can't sell any for 5 years. Now, at my age, they let me sell anything I want because I've gotten one step away from death, and so I don't mind IPOs because I know I can get out. And anybody in their 70s can normally get out. But the rest of you are in for perpetuity. For perpetuity. And nobody likes founders selling stock. Nobody. Stock price will dip 10, 20, may dip in half. Because don't you have confidence in the company anymore? We don't care that you started the company for estate planning. And you're in forever. That's why. We talk about that tomorrow. Did that answer your question? Yes, sir.
He said that he was committed. And so it sounds nice to begin with, but I'm not sure why he wouldn't consider it a sunk cost, cash out, and then...
Because he's leaving 120, the 150 example he gave you, he's leaving $130 million on the table. Minimum. That's easy to talk when you're sitting there in a purple hat, but it ain't easy to do. It just isn't, And he's got, and some of the land that he owns, he's got to develop by 2028. He's got time frames. But when the market's going like this, nobody listens. I've been through 5 economic cycles in my career. They didn't listen to the first economic cycle, and they're not listening to the current. They just don't. Because we have another generation that has grown up, that went to prestigious schools like this young man here, that they just don't listen. They've got a class, not at Wharton, but at, I don't know if it's Princeton. I hounded him so much because when I said, and if you remember me said, I said, how many classes have you had in buying a business? None. Nobody raised their hand. How many classes have you had in selling a business? Nobody raised their hand. How many classes have you had in leadership? Nobody raised their hand. Okay? And so, but now, I think it's Harvard, they've got a couple of classes in selling a business taught by PhD CPAs that have never owned a business. So that's who's teaching. Intellectually, I can make so this always works. And when we show the example of between Warren Buffett's invest $10,000 in 1964, or whatever it was when he started, and today it's about 380, 390 million, something like that, okay? And even though we didn't start in 1964, if we normally you project promotional numbers forward. If we go backwards with our numbers, we are 13 with 32 zeros, the QLA, because he never reinvested his dividends. That's what they assume. And we don't have any dividend to reinvest. But if you put the money, keep putting the money back, and we started in 1964, we have 13, the number 13, comma, with 32 zeros. That's the QLA model, as opposed to Morin's 378 million, 10,000. And we started with zero. So we started with zero when we produced 13 with 32 zeros. Because we're compounding at about 200 or 300% a year. He's compounding at 14% a year. There's no comparison. But anyway, and that's why Warren doesn't do real estate development. That's why he leases his building. There's a message here, guys. Success leaves clues. You need to own your house like you need AIDS. Most of your families struggle to pay off a mortgage, like the mortgage burning, remember? For why? Because their grandparents did. Or the Nazis took it away and, I'm one of the few guys that's made a lot of money. The only money I made in property, bought a house for $4 million, sold it for $21 million. I mean, estates, my houses, but not the houses and the penthouses and stuff that Sally and I have owned were not for investment purposes. They were to live, to sit our sorry asses down on a toilet seat and, on the 54th floor someplace. And the rich guys that I had the privilege of knowing, you talk about 8% on your money or 12% on your money. And if you could invest your money at 12%, you probably invest everything you had. The guys I know, they don't talk a return on investment. They talk on, did you triple your money? In the oil business, you should triple your money in 18 months. Triple. I don't know what that is in an ROI, but it's high. Yeah, it's pretty fucking dramatic. And so I'm not interested in the guys that if you listen to me and you're going to go out and find, and not buddy up with, but I mean buddy up with, the guy's going to loan you their G5 to go see your daughter for graduation. They're talking about hundreds of % on their money yearly. Not the chicken shit stuff, 6 or 8% or whatever. Other question about Marcus. Somebody else's hand was up. Or am I getting delusional? Could be that I'm getting delusional. Okay. And now he's fighting interest rates because he's got a variable that went up, and you'd think that a bank would let you flip the variable back to fixed, but they don't. Once they got you, unless the interest cycle goes the other way, which it may, not anytime soon. Yep, yes, sir.
Did he build that house on the lake after all? Or did he invest that money?
Yeah. Oh, one of the two billionaires that went bankrupt, I'm pretty sure I got this accurately, didn't want him to have that property because it blocked his view. And so he went and, as legend has it, and he forced the city to change the zoning. So couldn't build the house. And that's what the guys do. They reversed law. And Austrians who are Nazis too. Remember, they took over Austria, not one bullet was fired during the war. Hitler just rode through in his columns and not a fucking bullet was fired. So but we have, what's his name? Gabriel's Austrian. And he's ripping him off in Switzerland, in the German part of Switzerland, not German part, the German-speaking part of Switzerland. And for those of you, that's an edge, or all we need is a little edge. And sometimes, like I tell people, when Neom opened up in 2017, November 5th, 2017, Klaus's birthday, it opened up on Klaus's birthday. So he got his destiny. He's first CEO, biggest deal in recorded history. Destiny, my birthday, and the And so, but he doesn't speak Arabic. Maybe he speaks Arabic now. I don't know. But I told you, if you have, don't seminar, just leave today. You speak Arabic, leave today. I'll write a nice note to your family and go to Saudi. That's what I said. 3 or 4 guys did it over the first 2 years. 2 are still there. Don't go home. Tell him you love him. When Peru was invaded by Colombia back in the 80s, and I went to Peru, and anyway, I negotiated. My guys were captured. Blah, blah, blah. Of the 41 guys I had in Colombia, only 19 came home. They left their families. Wrote them nice letters. Honey, I hope you understand. You can have the house, the lake house, the beach house. I'm not coming home. Some of the most beautiful women that ever created on the planet are from Colombia. 19 guys, adults, not kids, abandoned their families, never went home. One of them was here about 5 years ago. He thought the golf course was still open to the public. And I talked to him. And he was in early onset dementia. You could tell he had dementia the first thing. And his wife, who I've known since 80, was there. But he didn't come. He came home. He was one of the guys that came home. Just walked away. I've seen all this. I've seen daughters literally, not figuratively, kill fathers over money. You have no idea. And then we got little cherubs like this, and his stick's still raw from him jerking off. I mean, but Marcus will do all right. I'm not worried about him. World-class athlete, back in the day. Okay, nothing more, no questions about Marcus? You got it all figured out that you're not going to go into real estate, or you're going to go into real estate. It doesn't really make any difference to me. Okay. Thank you, YouTube.